this is Nick with the Played Out Podcast. I'm here at ACME Superstore in Longwood, Florida, and with me is Brandon and Matt.
Hey.
And today we're going to be talking about Iron Man, specifically the new Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
And to kick us off, Brandon is our resident comic book expert, and so I would like to talk to Brandon a little bit about the source material, the Iron Man comics.
Right. So if you've seen any of the movies, you know that Iron Man is this dude who has a gaping hole in his chest and he fills it in with love.
Okay. What can you tell us about the Mandarin? Because the new movie is based around the enemy, the Mandarin.
So the Mandarin is this character who he has these 10 elemental rings.
By elemental rings, do you mean like earth, fire, wind, water, heart?
Yes, kind of like that. Kind of like Captain Planet.
Awesome.
This is one of those particular movies, and we're going to get into it in a sec, where the movie definitely took some bold moves and went away from the source material.
Yeah.
Some really surprising twists, and we will do our best not to spoil it too much, but we do need to reference a little bit in this particular segment because it got a little crazy.
Yeah, that was it had some interesting stuff going on. Well, let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
So overall, what did you guys think of the movie?
We saw it last night. For me, it's sitting in. I'm still letting it sit. Very different than what I thought it was going to be. Very different than what the trailers lead you to believe.
Yeah, I only saw the first one, so I didn't see the second one. But not knowing anything about real Iron Man other than what you've told me about Iron Man, I personally did not enjoy it as much as I thought it was going to. Yeah, there's just something just didn't sit right with me.
Well, what were you expecting from the movie?
Him to kick a lot more ass.
Yeah.
Instead, he got his ass kicked the whole movie.
Yeah.
Well, here's an element of it that I actually enjoyed, which is that there was a lack of Iron Man in the movie.
Yeah.
And kind of similar to Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, where the whole movie was based on everything going wrong with the stuff they rely on.
Right.
So this whole movie, everything was going wrong with the suit that he was relying on. So one of the things that I enjoyed about it was that he had to, in particular, let's without spoiling too much, there's that fight scene where he has to make do with only part of the armor.
Yeah.
And that was really enjoyable because that was.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that was an interesting scene to watch.
I would agree with that.
Very entertaining.
I think I missed something from the second movie because in the first movie he's like, okay, he can do stuff with the suit, but now without of it, he's like an expert marksman with handgun. He's doing flying around shit.
He's built better than you or I.
But I'm just saying, how does he now? In the beginning, you saw him doing martial arts against that podium. Did they do anything in the second? Now he's a fighter. I didn't. All of a sudden he knows how to do all this stuff.
That might have been our clue that he had been training in between the movies or something. Because that was an interesting choice.
You'd assume at some point when you're this dude who's getting attacked by these crazy supervillains and armies of aliens and stuff, at some point you might say to yourself, maybe I should kind of learn a few moves.
Yeah, but if he's in armor, he doesn't do those moves. All he does is shoot beams out of his hand the whole time. That's it. That's his only move.
Yeah. He's pretty limber for a guy in a giant metal suit.
Yeah. He's not doing roundhouse kicks or doing,
it'd be cool if he did.
That's true. A severe lack of roundhouse kicks in this movie.
That would be awesome. If he had a chainsaw come out of his leg and chop people's heads off, that'd be awesome.
But they did establish, I think what Nick was saying, they did establish early on this guy has some moves. There were points at the beginning where, and I don't think this is really a spoiler, but where he's kind of he's basically, the suit's coming to him and he's jumping around as the pieces come, hit him and stuff like that. So they did a decent job without actually going into him working out and stuff like that to establish the fact that here is a dude who physically can handle himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's definitely, like I said before, a little bit better shape than myself.
Just a little bit.
What did you think of the movie overall?
I'm kind of back and forth. As a comic book fan, this one, no doubt. There are certain things that are straight out of the comic books, but there are some major changes, major twists, as I said before, that stray away from the comic books.
Yeah.
And as a comic book fan, I had certain expectations. That's the problem when you're so close to the source material. You have certain expectations. And I had certain expectations, especially for characters like the Mandarin.
Right.
And then certain expectations for a movie that involves Ben Kingsley, because he's an amazing actor. So, but as a comic book fan, the Mandarin stuff, I was just so ready for some more involvement into the actual plot itself. And then, and again, there's a twist there, but I'm not going to go into it. But the Ben Kingsley stuff he's like one of my favorite actors. You know, outside of the whole comic book thing, he's one of my favorite actors.
I've never heard of him.
He was awesome. He was Gandhi.
Yeah, he was Gandhi.
He was Gandhi.
I didn't see Gandhi.
You didn't see Gandhi?
No, like he was Gandhi. Like I'd be like, oh, he's Gandhi. No, that's like saying I watched Downton Abbey or whatever. Like, no, I don't.
Well, that's fine, but not seeing Gandhi. I mean, they put it on for us in school.
Yeah, I had to see it in school, and I watch it every time it's on AMC.
Good movie.
I wasn't allowed to watch it in school.
Really? Mm-hmm. Strange.
Did they put you in like the special room whenever they put stuff on?
Yes, everything was special. It was all cartoons.
What else was Ben Kingsley in?
Finger paintings. The Turtles.
See, the thing is, I'm gonna throw out movies, and you're gonna be like, didn't see it.
But
he was in Hugo, and he was awesome in Hugo.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
He was the main, like the older guy, right?
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
And he was great in that. And he's great in most of the things he's in. I mean, he's really just a phenomenal.
Hugo and Gandhi.
We're on board in general for.
Please do not knock Gandhi the movie. It's like one of the greatest movies of all time.
It was a well-made movie.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it. You throw it at me like I'm gonna be like, that's right.
Right.
It was in Gandhi.
What it meant to say is they should have got Steven Seagal to play Mandarin.
I would have loved it. It would have been awesome. Or Jackie Chan.
I can't argue with that, actually. Or Van Damme. Well, I think it's safe to say the movie has two villains, without spoiling.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, absolutely.
The movie has two villains.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is several sub-level villains.
Yeah, and
that's true.
Several gray area people.
Yeah, that was a
And even the superhero Iron Man is not the greatest person in the world. There's literally a scene in the movie where he makes fun of a little kid for not having parents.
That's true. Although the kid was kind of asking for it.
Yeah. So what do you think of those scenes, by the way? The scenes between Tony Stark and the kid.
Yeah. Oh man, I really enjoyed those scenes a lot. Because that's the well. So I'll just say that in general I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, and I think the reason for it is because I went in expecting kind of the traditional superhero movie like that Iron Man set that bar for.
Yeah.
And what we ended up getting was
something different.
like an actual, like more of a human story with some great action spliced into it.
Yeah.
And the resolution of it was, I think, the ending was rushed a little bit for the final part of a trilogy. Or they didn't close it up quite as well as I'd like to see, but ultimately, yeah, I enjoyed that movie quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought I was saying to Matt earlier that the thing is, if you've seen Dark Knight, it kind of reminded me of that, and where you expect to see, or I should say, Dark Knight Rises. It reminds me of Dark Knight Rises in the sense you expect to see Batman in that film quite a bit, and you actually don't. And same in this one, you expect to see, especially in the trailers showing like 17 bajillion different Iron Man armors. You expect to see a lot more Iron Man in this movie than you actually do. But you get a lot more Tony Stark. And I think, for myself, I'm still at the point where I'm like trying to wrap my head around like, wow, this is a much different movie. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's nice to go to the movies sometimes and get surprised. But then there's the other side of it, and I think that Matt will agree with this, where you also have a certain desire that you need fulfilled.
That's true.
You need. It's still Iron Man. You still need a giant metal dude punching things.
I felt that whole middle part of the movie could have been just taken out. Like I thought all that humor they put in, I thought it was too much in such a short area. I don't feel that kid was necessary. I mean, he's having those anxiety leg attacks, and then they're playing on the humor.
There was a lot of elements.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't feel it was necessary.
There was a lot of elements that could potentially distract you from the core of the movie.
The thing I liked about the original Iron Man is that it's very like sarcastic humor. I felt it was well placed. It was short. It was direct, and it was done. Yeah. But I felt in this, it just kept going. I'm like, okay, I get the point. You're an ass. Yeah. I just like, come on, get back to blowing stuff up. Yeah. And I just middle part just kind of threw me, just like Transformers. Yeah.
But they definitely, by the end of the film, they do bring it full circle. I mean, this could potentially, if they weren't going to do another Iron Man movie, it would be an official trilogy. I mean, it all kind of sits there perfectly. Yeah. Money-wise, if they can get him to do it, I guarantee they will.
I don't know why he wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't make sense. This rebuilt his career.
Well, honestly, I don't think they need to. I mean, as far as the Iron Man story goes, it was pretty satisfying. Just these
satisfying ending, yeah. In that sense, as a trilogy, satisfying ending. I would agree with you in that.
But so we touched on it briefly. So what didn't you like about the movie specifically? We started talking about that a little bit, and then we'll talk about what you did like.
I don't think I disliked anything specifically. I think it was just it was a lot different than I thought. I'm still kind of, it's still kind of stewing in my head. The Ben Kingsley thing, because like I said, I'm a huge fan. It's not even so much the comic book thing. It was very different than the comic book. I get that, but the Ben Kingsley thing is like, you know, I was very excited to see him in this role. You know, people very early on were saying how amazing this role was going to be, and he did a really good job for what the role ended up being.
Yeah, definitely.
But oh man, I wanted to see him all the way through, just relentless villain. I wanted to see him akin to like some of those great villains like Heath Ledger in Dark Knight and stuff like that. That's what I wanted to see. You know, like here, just make the Mandarin this sadistic, you know, just bad guy, like you know, just. And that's what I wanted, and you don't. I will say this: you don't really get that in this film.
Yeah, definitely true.
Yeah. The thing I really didn't like was just the action sequences to me. Like, especially when you saw all the suits coming, I was just like, this is gonna
the ending was gratifying.
It wasn't for me.
Oh, okay.
Because you just saw them flying around all using the same attack. Then you got that huge one coming in, and I was like, oh man! And all he did was like jack a thing above his back.
Yeah,
I was
enough.
like, that's it? You're not gonna kick anything?
Yeah.
You know,
so that's what you want to see the suits very specifically kicking.
Well,
stuff.
because
It's the roundhouse kick thing again.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, when you see like a dozen suits come in, you'd think, okay, he built them not all the same. They each have their own purpose. At least show me something specific to these. One guy had the drill arms. Okay, he set them up and punched them. I was like, all right, that's cool. Who's next?
Yeah.
All the different colored suits he gets in it. Okay, he's just shooting stuff out of his
We
hands.
need a final fight extended cut. That's what we need.
Definitely.
I was just like, give me one small move for each of them that sets them apart from the other ones. I'm sure they all have.
You would have liked it more like surprises, like what's this one do, and then like have a gigantic cannon come out or something like that. Yeah,
I mean,
totally. I get that.
And
they did it for one. Remember, they did that one suit that broke apart, and then like. And this is too much of a spoiler. So they did the one suit that broke apart, took out like two guys, and then came back together. Like that was cool.
Yeah, but like, if you did it for all of them, that would have been gratifying.
Yeah.
Because you're not seeing Tony actually fight, and they were all flying around. I thought that was going to be their moment to really like say, okay, he's been living in the basement because he can't sleep. All his work is coming together for this. Let's see what he's been doing. Yeah. And I was let down. And the fact that I didn't get to see War Machine do anything.
Well, speaking of War Machine, that's what I was going to say next. What did you think about the evolution of the War Machine armor, though?
That was awesome.
From War Machine to Iron Patriot, which it does not happen in the comic book that way. In the comic book, actually, Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, he's the Iron Patriot. So it's a totally different suit, but kind of cool the way they tell it inside the movie, where it's like, hey, War Machine's not the best kind of like tagline for an American superhero, so we created the Iron Patriot and we did a paint job on the War Machine armor. Yeah. I thought it was really cool.
I thought it was cool.
I would
have liked to see him when he was like, okay, I need a suit. I thought when he was going to get in, come in and help Tony, and then just flies away. I was like, really? Like really?
Yeah.
Like you're doing this? You can both fight together. Like I said, I don't know how much it was in the second one because I didn't see it, but not seeing that, I was really let down. But because you had a huge rocket cannon.
In the second one, and spoilers. The second
You can
one,
spoil the second one. Go ahead.
That was kind of the final fight scene. Was Iron Man and War Machine teaming up to take on a bunch of robots. So it would have been kind of an exact reverse of the resolution of the second one. So maybe that's why they went a different direction with it.
But Rhodes, the guy who is War Machine, he had some awesome action scenes where it was just him.
He did.
When he saves the president.
Yeah, he was.
And I happen to agree with Matt. The only two things that I didn't particularly like is I could have used a lot more War Machine, and that final fight scene they really did not show off the other suits enough.
Yeah.
And that was my only two big complaints about the movie. Otherwise, everything more or less fine.
Because they were building up
good.
to it. Like the crane, we excavated your basement, and then he's like, and then they all circled around. I was like, oh my God, this is.
They even remember, mild spoiler. They even call it when all the suits come out, the house party protocol.
The house party protocol.
I got very excited.
I was like, oh dude, this is like,
I leaned over to Nick and I was like, Nick, we need a house party protocol.
Yes.
Because like in the first one when he first came out, they played the Iron Man song. I thought they were gonna play some like some party music, you know, something just like they were throwing like a little humorous thing right there.
There should have been just like how Transformers has Soundwave. There should have been, but listen, wait for where I'm going. There should have been one Iron Man armor that just came in just for the sole purpose of DJing, and just like while the other ones are fighting, his like speakers come out of his back, and he just kind of, you know.
I would have allowed
there,
it.
That would have been awesome.
There are a couple of villains in the Marvel universe whose weakness is sonic waves. So realistically, that's a possibility.
It could be like his. It would be like his Venom armor.
Yeah.
He has to take out Venom and Carnage. He'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna plop in here and start DJing.
Exactly.
Done. End of story.
And you know what we could get for that? Skrillex. They could have put a Skrillex soundtrack. What about things that you liked specifically about the movie?
I actually, I know Matt doesn't agree with me on this one, but I actually really enjoyed the scenes between Tony Stark and the kid. I thought they were good. But again, I think scenes with Robert Downey playing Tony Stark in general are just very gratifying.
Yeah.
But you still have to weigh them out with fighting scenes.
Yeah.
But I will say I did enjoy those scenes, and I thought that they were kind of cool.
That's true.
I like the design of, like I said, I don't know how they are in the comics and stuff like that, but I like the design of, what was it, the Extremis or Extremis?
Yeah.
Like, I like the way, I like the idea of that regeneration. Like they looked like they were like made of like magma. I was expecting like, okay, they can rebuild their parts, but they have a heat element to them. And I just thought that was a really cool idea. And it wasn't just one, it was just like an army of these people.
I like the way Colonel Rhodes go, wait, you can breathe fire?
Yeah,
it was just such a good reaction.
Yeah.
Wait, you breathe fire? And he kind of just stood down at that point.
Yeah.
I enjoyed mostly everything about the movie. I enjoyed all the action sequences. I loved the stuff with the kid.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing the more human story. Oddly, I really was looking forward to a superhero a beat 'em up movie, and I enjoyed the human focus of the movie.
You enjoyed the Fast and Furious trailer?
I did. I definitely enjoyed that. I will be going to see Fast and the Furious Day 1.
He was holding my hand. He was holding my hand during the Fast and Furious trailer. It was really weird.
I don't deny it, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Like, Nick, that hurts. Not so tight.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was quivering.
Before we go to actually rating, to give our individual ratings, one ups, one down for this, it should be said, in true to form to most Marvel movies, this does have an after credits thing. This is not the most. This is not going to have a huge impact on the Avengers franchise as a whole, the thing after the credits.
But it was.
But one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, it was very
entertaining. Yeah. And you know what? I'm not going to say who is in it, but there is a guest star. And,
yeah.
And
oh, yeah.
It was actually the one I wanted to see most in a separate.
Right.
Separate Avengers movie, so I was very happy with that.
Yes.
So we're gonna do one up, one down. We'll start with our leader here.
I didn't care for the second movie that much. Yeah. I enjoyed it, and going into this one, I kind of expected the worst, hope for the best kind of thing, and I was pleasantly surprised. I give it one up.
Yeah, the one thing you get from an Iron Man movie is that all the actors, even if their roles aren't what you expect them to be, all the actors do an amazing job.
Yeah.
Even in Iron Man 2, the actors sold the movie. Even if it wasn't a perfect movie, the actors sold the movie. So just based off of the acting alone, I am going to say a cautious, but a one up for myself.
Like a 0.75 up?
Yeah. I'm going to give you a one up for that one.
Cool.
I'm going to have to go thumbs down. Because I go into it. I mean, like I said, I didn't see the second one, but I go into action hero movies expecting certain things, and I felt let down. Whether that's just me being ridiculous, considering I'm not a comic book fan, I have very certain criteria for these types of movies.
No, that's.
I felt leaving. I wanted more, because after the first movie, I was so satisfied. I thought it was just so well done, and just the other ones. I mean, Avengers and the X-Men movie. They all had. I left just feeling so satisfied, but this was just. Especially if it ended up being the last one, I was like, you could have done something so much more.
Yeah.
Not to say it was a bad movie. I left feeling just.
It was
you were expecting something that you didn't get.
No matter what,
I was unsatisfied.
It was very different. I think for most people, when you go see this movie, it's going to be different than what you think it.
And I felt there was too much humor thrown into it. I liked the little short quips from Tony. I felt he spent too much time outside the armor, and That's not.
I would
why
like to have seen more on it.
That's not why I want to go see it. So, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Send your hate mail to Matt at that podcast.
No, Matt does tentacles.
Matt does
Matt
tentacles.
at mattdoestentacles.com.
So we got 2 up, 1 down for this run. Iron Man 3, Played Out Podcast. Again, we should probably say, here at the ACME Superstore, who's been very good host to us as of recently. They've done a lot of cool stuff. Give us all this cool stuff in the background, so that's kind of cool. If you're in Longwood, Florida,
Or the Orlando area. Come on down. They've got some great new space. They've almost doubled the size of their store. They've got just about every toy or comic book you could ever want.
And we are the Played Out Podcast.
We are the Played Out Podcast. Look for us on iTunes. Look for the 4 Deadpools, and that'll be us. There's a couple of Played Out podcasts on there, but we're taking them down.
Yeah, one at a time we will take them down, just like Tony Stark as the Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. See you later, guys.